Joining me now is Ryan Calkins. He is the commissioner of the Port of Seattle, with us here live in studio on the other side of the country here in Washington. Nice to see you, Ryan.
You too, Blake.
So you run the big port there in Seattle.
We do.
What are you seeing?
Well, right now things look pretty good. There's still a lot of activity. We've got ships at berth right now, a couple in harbor. We're unloading cargo that was ordered months ago. Warehouses are full, the terminals are full, but we're starting to see the canary in the coal mine struggling.
So here's the comma but. So what's the comma but after all that?
We're able to forecast out what kind of activity we're going to see weeks, months ahead, and we've already started to see some blank sailings coming out of Asia, particularly out of China.
What do you mean by that?
Means that typically these things run on a schedule. They circle the Pacific, and so we know months out what ships are going to be coming in. And those ships will stay on that same route, picking up from various ports in Asia, dropping off in various ports in North America. And in our case, we're starting to hear word that they're going to blank a few of those. They'll pull those ships out of rotation.
Because?
There's just nothing to put on them. Factories have stopped producing in China. U.S. customers have asked to hold those orders until they have some clarity on tariffs. And there's not as much outbound either, because the same is happening in reverse.
So goods come into Seattle, right? And then they probably go to Boise, and I'm just naming cities here, and make their way east. And maybe it's all the way to Chicago. I don't know. But if your goods come in through Seattle, what does that mean for sort of the rest of the country and what we could start to see or not see, I guess?
So we are really, we're an intermodal port, meaning it comes in off a ship, gets put on a train and sent to Chicago or Kansas City. You know, we're supplying your Targets and Walmarts throughout the country, and particularly for all those goods that are made in Asia. And so when there's a lag in that system, which is a choreographed dance that as soon as you disrupt it, it takes a long time to get that back on cue. And so our businesses, they're really clever in how to work around some of these disruptions, but there's only so much they can do when there's a big supply chain lag.
So I guess one of the questions, right, is like we have all these questions about empty shelves and all that. Do you think that's real?
I don't think we're going to see that in the. I don't want anybody to panic, because we're going to have food,
because we don't know,
have the basics, and China's not the only manufacturer of a lot of these things. There are certain things that we will start to see a real disruption in, things like fast fashion, your sneakers. I was thinking the other day about my kids' soccer cleats. Should I buy a pair now for the fall, or are those prices going to double, or is it going to get hard to see the kind of selection we normally see with sneakers?
I'm sure you know Ryan Peterson is the CEO of Flexport.
I do.
Yeah, Ryan's great. He's on the show all the time. I spoke to him the other day, last week or so. Here's what he said to me, because there's the question of, all right, what happens if the president changes course, right? Or there's a significant change in trade policy with China. Here is Ryan. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
We've seen a 60 to 65% drop in ocean freight from China to the U.S. It means if nothing gives, if nothing changes, he doesn't go forward with that, you're going to have massive shortages across the economy as these goods just stop showing up and stop being available on the shelves.
One of the other things that Ryan said was basically, if you have this sort of whip effect, that we're at that point now where it's really no good results. Are you there at that point? Like, what happens if the president
Unfortunately, we are going to see impacts from this, even if, say, tomorrow morning, first thing, it was announced that the tariffs were removed. And the reason is that the system works best when there's a steady flow of goods. As we saw post-pandemic, there was a surge in purchases from all around the world, and that surge created havoc at the ports. We had, in the case of Puget Sound ports, we had 13 ships at anchor. In LA Long Beach, they had north of 60 ships at anchor waiting to come in, because you're really trying to push a lot of stuff through a fairly narrow system. What Ryan said, one of the issues that we're going to see is that when you're an importer trying to plan for the holiday season, you're making your purchases in May and June. You're making the orders from the factories, and then those get shipped later in the fall.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.